Grant took a deep breath. Well, don't worry, because after today I won't be wasting another breath trying to disentangle you from your deeply ingrained superstitions. After your masters come up with some way to pretend that all of this didn't really happen, and to say that I was never really president, and to put a new master on the throne who will control and rob you like in the good old days, I will be happy to let you cling to whatever self-destructive delusions you wish. You can rebuild your government, God, pray to it again to save you from reality, and suffer the consequences until you, your children, and your grandchildren are all dust. But what you cannot do, what we will not allow any longer, is to inflict the consequences of your inhuman insanity upon those of us who believe in free will. Most of us will even do you the favor of removing ourselves from your pathetic little circus of slaves and masters and go where you can comfortably pretend that we don't exist. But do not follow us. Do not send the unthinking thugs of your masters after us. Do not seek to punish us for refusing to bow down to your false gods. Unlike the games your masters play, sending pawn to kill pawn, we will not waste our efforts on continually fighting the unthinking robots you call law enforcers. We will go to the top immediately and lop the head off of your great God, and we will do it as many times as we must. Leave us alone and you can keep your gods. Likewise, we do not want and will not accept the stolen goods with which your false gods so easily buy your loyalty and obedience. We will go out of our way to make sure that we do not benefit at all from the looter's game that you now believe to be the foundation of civilization. We won't be using the indoctrination camps you call schools. We won't be using your phony currency or your fraudulent banking system. We won't be participating in any of the trappings and schemes your masters euphemistically call programs and benefits. We don't want your department of this and bureau of that, your inspectors and regulators, politicians and judges, tax collectors and police, or any of the other crooks and thugs which your gods may spawn. We want nothing from you but to be left alone, and we offer you nothing except the promise that we will leave you alone if you do the same for us. That is what it means to be a human being. And if any of you ever figure that out and are ready and willing to give up your chains and embrace true freedom, we will welcome you with open arms. Until then, stay the hell away from us. Grant took another sip of water and put the glass down on the lectern. For a long time he was still, not saying anything, looking as if he was deep in thought. I just have one more thing to do today, he finally said quietly, and then I'll be finished. He turned to his right, away from Betsy, and made a gesture to someone she couldn't see. 3 men then came up on stage, the one in the middle looking weak and a bit sick, the other 2 holding his arms. They didn't seem to be holding him so he couldn't escape, as much as they were holding him so he wouldn't fall down. At this, a new murmur arose among the remaining congressmen. Betsy recognized the acting chief of staff, the man who had taken over the position just 6 weeks before, after the former chief of staff had a heart attack. As you should all know, Grant said, turning back to the audience, this is Clarence Ferris, the former president's acting chief of staff. He turned to the sick-looking man. I believe you have something to tell the nation. The man weakly nodded to the others holding his arms, and they let go. He walked unsteadily to the podium, his expression fluctuating between terror and anger. He swallowed hard, looking down at his notes, which he set on the podium. His hands were shaking, and he accidentally knocked over the glass of water, which rolled off the podium and shattered on the floor. No one moved. A tear rolled down the man's cheek. After an awkward pause, he threw Grant a pitiful look, as if he were pleading to be dismissed. Grant's face showed no emotion. Do it, he commanded. The man began, but he could barely speak. It was all he could do to go through the mechanical motions of reading his prepared speech. I have served my country as best I could. I cannot tell you how much it pains me to do this. He took a deep breath and looked at Grant again. When I took the position of acting chief of staff, I made recordings of all my meetings with the president. Now his eyes seemed riveted to his notes. I made the following recording of the president, the former president, I mean. This was one of our regular meetings, concerning domestic affairs. We were discussing the situation in Graveston. He said some things that I just tell them what the tape is and then play it, Grant instructed firmly, as if trying to bolster the man's courage. There was another long pause. The man drew another deep breath. This is a tape I made without the president's knowledge of one of the many meetings I had with him. Present were myself, the president, and the Secretary of Defense. This meeting occurred January 9th, 11 days ago. His hands trembling and tears streaming from his eyes, he fumbled with a small electronic device until a hiss could be heard over the loudspeakers on the wall behind him. Our intelligence sources aren't giving us much to work with. The voice on the tape matched the voice of the man at the podium. We don't need any more damn intelligence, came the familiar voice of the former president. We need action, don't you get it? The agent in charge says that if we can show restraint a little longer, he thinks a peaceful resolution might... I'm tired of hearing about caution and restraint. I tried that, and Collins made me look like a damn pussy. So now we're doing something different. After this Flight 422 incident, the public will cheer if we go in and take them all out. But how sure are we that members of the group were even to blame? I know what we've been saying to the media, but the intel is still... God, when are you going to grow up? Yelled the former president. You have no idea what's going on, do you? Sir? Quit being such a Boy Scout. You know what a leader is? It's someone who can do whatever it takes to keep the team strong. You have no idea the pressures, the sacrifices I have to make. History doesn't remember those who show restraint and use caution. It remembers the bold victors. What this country needs most right now is unity, and the best thing for that is a common enemy. I gave them that. I gave them something to rally against. I don't follow you, sir. What do you think every war is? Conflict is what keeps a people unified, keeps a country together. The sacrifices of war, you need them. You need them to keep a country strong. A people without an enemy is a people without a cause. The damn sheep out there needed something to think about besides their pocketbooks. Whatever the cost, they needed a common enemy to make them pull together and feel like Americans again. Did you think I was going to sit around until Collins gave them that? What do you mean? Are you saying you wanted something like this to happen? Wake up, you jackass, the former president screamed. Wanted it to happen. I made damn sure it would happen. I made damn sure that those ungrateful little malcontents down in Graveston wouldn't win any more supporters or sympathizers, and it's working like a charm. Betsy saw looks of shock on many faces in the crowd. Sir, what are you saying? Ferris's voice demanded. Are you saying you knew in advance about the plans to hijack the plane and let it happen? No, you dumbass. You still don't get it. Get this through your thick skull. I gave the order to shoot the fucking plane down. With a loud click, the tape stopped and the room fell silent. A single sniffle was heard from the man at the podium, who now wept openly, his head hung low. Grant put a hand on the man's back, and without raising his head, the man turned and walked slowly off the stage and out of sight, the two other men helping to steady him. You put him into power, Grant said to the audience, his voice low and calm. In your quest for a savior, this is the kind of person you put into power over and over again. These are the people you asked to rule you, to protect you. This one murdered 178 people because he thought it might help his image. What makes him different is not that he would do such a thing or that he did such a thing, but only that he got caught. Most of the other so-called leaders have done similar things. And you put them here. You made them gods, foolishly hoping that the power you gave them would be used for good. Well, let this reality sink in today. Don't hide behind your delusions. Open your eyes. This is the protector and savior you wanted so badly. This is the monster you worshipped. Take a good long look and decide if you want more of the same or if you're ready to be free. All your lives you've been trained to be subservient and obedient. Through years of authoritarian indoctrination mislabeled as education, one message has been constantly pounded into your heads. by parents, the media, so-called teachers, the entire culture. And that message is this: you cannot find the truth yourself. You cannot be trusted to judge right from wrong. You cannot be trusted to make your own decisions. So if anything comes up that might require you to think, or worse yet, might require you to do something, to take action, don't worry, just huddle timidly in a corner and let the authorities handle it. And now, having been raised to be perpetually infantile, you are existentially terrified of the idea of having to take care of yourselves, having to protect yourselves, having to effect justice yourselves, having to face an unpredictable world without some all-knowing, all-powerful being holding your hand. And so you appoint an imagined authority to save you from reality. But it doesn't, and it never will. It will betray you and enslave you, keeping you forever powerless and defenseless. It's not a fluke. It's the nature of the beast you worship. It's time for you to open your eyes and grow up. Betsy was still in shock from what she had just heard. How long had Grant known about this, and what kind of willpower must it have taken for him to plan all of this, knowing what he knew? In the last couple of days, the media has been theorizing about why the former president would not be attending this inaugural address. It's not because he doesn't like me, or because he's upset, or because he's sick, and he is not vacationing at his winter home, as the media believes. He is dead. Gasps were heard throughout the room. Grant held high a piece of paper. For those of you who believe in such things, here is a copy of the presidential pardon for the man who killed him. It seems that a few people were not willing to let our so-called justice system decide what to do with one of its former gods. I have been informed that tomorrow the media will be told where to find the body of the man who ordered the murder of 178 innocent Americans. A murmur again arose throughout the room, but Grant ignored it. He reached down and picked up his jacket from the floor where he had dropped it and draped it over his shoulder. As for me, I'm heading down to Graveston to shake the hands of some of the few men and women, if any are still alive, who have dared to stand up for truth and freedom in a country that now, for the most part, despises those things.